What's up, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Alexander Frank. I am the head coach and owner of Second Spark Fitness and Nutrition Coaching. Folks, what comprises a fitness program? How do you build one? Isn't your belly button technically your old mouth? Y'all, each element of a fitness program has a specific health and wellness benefit and variability attached to these programs depending on your needs and your abilities. So let's get into it, shall we? The necessities and considerations of building a successful program. Now, there are 8 pieces of this puzzle here. We have the warm-up, flexibility training, core training, balance, reactive resistance training, cardio, and of course the cool down, a very important piece that involves stretching. Now, all these aren't necessary for every single workout regimen that you put together, but they are important. Important enough where I should go over them, and depending on the program that you have in place, they should be implemented. So, let's get it. Folks, the warm-up. What exactly is it? Well, it's kind of in the name, the warm-up. It's kind of self-explanatory. It warms your body up by increasing blood flow, respiration, body temperature, and it primes your nervous system. Now, it makes the heavy lifting done after the warm-up less likely to cause injury, It makes your technique more efficient because, again, you're not overloading your muscles right away, but you're priming them for the actual working sets. That specific warm-up, say for the bench press, you wind up mimicking those movements intentionally that are going to be a part of your workout. Now, warm muscles also contract and relax a lot faster. It's kind of like when you take a cold plunge or you take a really cold shower to kind of wake yourself up, your blood moves to the vital organs inside your body. Arms are great, hands are great, feet, legs, they're all great, but if you're shivering to death out there, your blood is going to flow to the vital organs like your heart, your brain. Those are the most important pieces. Now, for us regular people that are not surviving in an Arctic cold winter, say we're out here on a nice summer day, you can move smoothly because your body is moving at a more efficient pace. The blood flow is regulated across the spectrum. And the increased respiration delivers oxygen to the bloodstream and body more effectively and efficiently. Lastly, folks, it helps you mentally prepare for the workout and the load that you're about to move. Going back to the technique, you're physiologically and mentally preparing your body for the load that you're about to move. Versus if you just decide to raw dog it, we don't want that. Always protect yourself. Wink, wink. Now, how on earth are we supposed to warm up? There is a method to the madness here. So say you get to the gym, you're ready to get after it, but wait, y'all, you gotta warm up. Light cardio is a great way to warm your body up. You can hop on the treadmill, Stairmaster, elliptical, rower, you name it. Anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes is a perfect amount of time to do this. Personally, I usually hop on the treadmill on most days. Leg days, for example, I'll usually be on there for 5 to 10 minutes, right? And about halfway through, around minute 4 or 5, I'll just be walking at a steady pace of around 3.5 miles an hour. The incline will be about 1%, but then I'll usually crank it up to around 5 or 6 just to give my legs a bit more of an additional effort to get myself moving a little bit more to warm my body up. Now, the days that I'm lifting with other body parts, I more or less do the same thing, but just not at such an aggressive pace. So still hop on the treadmill for a couple minutes, just get things moving, blood flowing, everything else. But with lifting, you want to start light and go to intermediate weights. So say your first working set is 225 pounds on the bench press. That's going to be the first working set for your actual lift. You make your way to the bar, you do some arm circles, and then you park your butt on the bench. Lie down, you hit a few reps of just the bar, and then you load up some weights on the bar. Say you do 135, 45s on each side. Boy math. You do that for 10 reps. You hop off, and then maybe your second warm-up set will be 175 or 185. Do that for about 5 reps. And then lastly, you do a potentiated set. And that's the actual weight or something just a little bit over, say 230 or 235 for this example, of the actual working set for your first set. So for this example, again, you planned your working set to be 225 pounds. Your potentiated set would be 225 pounds or 230 or 235. You'll hit that for 1, 2, or 3 reps. And again, that really primes your nervous system for the weight that you're actually going to be moving. Heavier weight, you just do more warm-up sets. Again, the point is to minimize injury here, my friends, with your warm-up sets. So make sure you warm up. It's going to save you. Now, flexibility. This is also another critical component, and it's often overlooked. It's also a fancy word for stretching, my friends. Stretching increases our range of motion of our joints or a group of them. Now, the older that you get, the more necessary it becomes. And research actually shows that your range of motion begins to actually taper off around age 25. And that means it's actually pretty darn young if you really think about it. And it shows that you should be stretching here, folks. It is necessary. Now, the best time to do this static stretching is going to be post-workout, to be exact. You don't want to do it before. Now, some people spend way too much time stretching before a workout, which is actually kind of crazy. Sometimes people spend upwards of 15 to 20 minutes. I used to work out with this guy back in my hometown that would stretch before he warmed up on the treadmill, and then he would do his lift, and then he would stretch again. There's honestly no reason for it, and it actually works against you. Not only just in terms of it being a huge waste of time, but it's a huge negative because the length tension relationship of your muscles, they kind of get thrown out of whack. Now, for those of you who don't know what a length tension relationship is, it's the amount of tension that a muscle can produce as a function of the muscle fiber length, the sarcomere length. So when you stretch before your lift, it changes that length tension relationship of those fibers, and it's actually been shown to increase the risk of injury and even alter your performance if it's done before a workout. So save your stretching for after. Folks, number 3 here we have core training. Now, it's just training your abs, short and sweet, and it is something that's necessary. You don't have to do this every single day, but working your core 2 to maybe 3 times a week is going to be sufficient enough. It's not something that you have to do every single day, but just treat your core like any other muscle group. They have to be stimulated. They have to have some progressive overload over time for them to actually show and make a bigger difference than you just not working your abs at all. Now, they're beneficial for so many reasons: your sport performance, stability, and just everyday activity. Plus, who doesn't like taking off their shirt at some beach party, pool party, spring break, blowout, making eye contact with some girl that rejected you, and then you've just got this sick washboard, and she's like, ooh la la, and then you say, not today, Satan, you had your chance, ho. Body shots, baby. So, folks, ab training. It activates the trunk muscles. And to kick those into gear, those are things like planks, rotational movements, sit-ups, etc. Because the core needs to have a strong foundation and functional in all planes of motion, a well-rounded program needs to include movements that challenge all the different planes of motion. So things like sit-ups, planks, cable wood chops, those are all phenomenal ideas. Now, sit-ups or a good old-fashioned standard crunch, those are going to hit our front-facing abs for your core to remain in its neutral position. And then Russian twists, cable wood chops, those also engage your hips and your torso. Now, remember, when you're doing these with your target muscle being your core, your focus should be on those abs and not other body parts being the primary mover. It should all come from your core. So, for example, cable wood chop, it's terribly tempting to use your arms and your shoulders to do a majority of the work. You want to resist your body's natural tendencies to use those as the primary mover. Ensure that majority of the work is coming from your abs and not your arms in that specific example. Short and sweet, folks. Now, number 4, we have balanced training. This is a curious little thing, actually. Every single day, our body's balance isn't just us learning how to walk on our own 2 feet when we step out of bed like a little baby. Purposeful movements in everyday activities like doing laundry, working out, doing the dishes, cleaning, etc., it all requires some sort of balance. And it's about recovering from when we're about to fall over or dropping something and then catching it. In simpler terms, reflective movements. To assist our bodies in that department, there's a ton of sensory input that comes from all around us. And it's coming through the pipeline to lend a helping hand, like visual, auditory, and special input gathered by these proprioceptors in our muscles and our tendons. Pretty freaking cool. Now, there are some benefits from including something like this in your programs, my friends. Now, there is improved static and dynamic ability, reduced frequencies of ankle injuries. I know a ton of people tend to roll their ankles for God knows what reason. Reduced lower back pain and reduced joint pain. Doing things like box step-ups, Bosu ball training with 2 legs, 1 leg, progressively getting better, things like that. Just like regular resistance training, incorporating this in some sort of capacity in your program is only going to benefit you. It'll help support better movement and overall gym performance. Number 5, we have reactive training. Now, reactive training is fun, but it's more catered towards sports athletes. When you watch a college football combine and you got these guys that are doing the 40-yard dash or the 225-pound bench press for max reps with these explosive concentric movements, that's a type of training that requires a lot of speed, agility, and quickness, which is all about reactive training. Move your body in one direction as quick as possible, cutting corners, accelerating, decelerating without falling over as fast as possible. That's what this essentially is. Now, the amount of folks that require this in their day-to-day life are pretty slim, but it's not to say it's not beneficial to be able to implement quick reactions in your day-to-day life at a moment's notice. Depending on your career choice, this might be something beneficial or even necessary to incorporate, like a first responder, an athlete, even construction workers. On the flip side, it's not always necessary. So I'll use myself an example here. As an individual with 2 different businesses, I don't necessarily find myself having the need to sprint across the lawn as quickly as possible, or getting out of the way if something or someone is falling. But I do drop things from time to time, like cups or catching a buddy if they're falling over from doing God knows what. All that to say, it's nice to have. Now, there are actually a lot of studies that show the proven benefits of incorporating this into your routine as well, which is always a breath of fresh air, right? Power performance, improved balance, reduced reaction time, improved your VO2 max, body composition. Who doesn't like this stuff, right? Again, it's not necessary, but this is beneficial depending on your career choice or just for fun. Now, everybody's favorite, resistance training, or as most people call it, strength training. My friends, there are several primary goals here, believe it or not, and they all fall under that umbrella of resistance training. There is increased strength, endurance, muscle size, and increasing your power output. Now, when y'all do this, I'm sure you've seen it enough before in the gym or maybe just gone through it yourself. There isn't much of a challenge if you're able to hold a conversation in there, meaning you're just doing the bare minimum. You're able to hold a conversation. You're not letting out any of those grunts, and your focus seems to be somewhere else versus where it should be, on the weight room floor. Unless you're on a deload week or you're just starting your fitness journey, which I'll get into in a later video, you're not promoting any sort of hypertrophy. When you guys are lifting weights, there has to be enough resistance to promote that muscular adaptation where the muscle fibers get those little muscle tears. If throughout your training session you begin to approach the weights with just a smidge of trepidation, that's a good thing. You should be challenging yourself in there, you guys. That leads, again, to the muscle gain, strength gain, plus another thing we call DOMS, which is also referred to as delayed onset muscle soreness. The micro tears in your muscles are specifically caused by the lowering phase of your lift, also known as the eccentric phase of your lift. And that is beneficial for 3 different reasons. It's this beautiful trifecta. It's easier on your joints, you become more flexible, and you also grow more muscle. I'll get into that in a later video, but resistance training is a Number 7, folks, arguably many people's least favorite form of training. Yes, it is going to be cardio, but it's also helpful and beneficial to us in more ways than one. It can be a mess of things. It could be, dancing, jogging, cycling, swimming, hiking. There are plenty of different forms of it, and we've got a handful of primary functions here that are terribly beneficial to us whenever we do cardio training. Delivers oxygen to the cells and nutrients to the cells, maintains your pH balance, regulates body temperature, delivers hormones to target tissues. It's a beautiful thing. Now, your body's response to exercise is directly proportional to the oxygen demands of the skeletal muscles. Now, when your intensity is high, your uptake is high of oxygen. And when it's low, the uptake is low. Now, in cardio training, there are 3 different things to keep an eye on. Your target heart rate, which is an estimated amount of beats per minute that should be achieved for that specific exercise. Your RPE, which is your rate of perceived exertion, basically your perceived level of effort. And then the heart rate zones, which to be exact is a percentage of maximum heart rate associated with a desired physiological adaptation. That is a fancy definition for it. Now, we have 2 final pieces of this cardio puzzle here. We have steady state cardio, and that is what a majority of folks tend to do if and when they decide to do their cardio. Again, that's just a steady walk outside, a jog, cycling at a steady pace, or swimming, just to name a couple of examples here. You set yourself a pace and then you stick to it until your session is over with or you just collapse from boredom. Last but not least, we have interval training, and here you can alternate between high and low bouts of intensity to challenge your respiratory system. It's pedal to the metal followed by an equal amount of time or less to dial down your heart rate before you kick it up again. And the benefits here are actually pretty large. There's an increase in your oxidative capacity of your skeletal muscles, big plus. Increase in heart rate stroke volume, big plus. Improvement in vascular function of your outer extremities, like your veins and your arteries and your arms, legs, feet, and hands, another big plus. Folks, don't skip out on your cardio. Folks, we're at the end of the finish line here. Number 8, the cool down. Now you finish your workout, whether it's weightlifting, cardio, whatever, it's time to catch your breath. Friends, this is an important part of the workout, so let's get into some benefits here, shall we? When you take some time to cool down, you give your body's temperature, blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing rate to return to a level closer to normal. It's a great time to do some stretching and also some of that self-myofascial release. I think we talked about this before, but the SMR is a solid piece of a cool down that you should implement into your routine. It hurts so good, it's kind of like hitting your funny bone, right? You want to cry after bonking that thing, but you can't because it's so funny and you fall into a fit of laughter. That's more or less what the SMR is. You apply this manual pressure to an overactive tissue, whether it's like an adhesion or a knot, for about 20 to 30 seconds to release those pain points. It hurts so good. Stretching and the SMR is proven to promote muscle recovery and the length-tension relationship in your muscle fibers. Big piece of advice that I strongly urge everybody to do. Now, mentally, you can dial back the focus of your workout to focus on your breathing and feeling that stretch versus the force output. You don't want to skip stretching, my friends, because it means your muscle tissue abruptly stops contracting. It might lead to blood pooling in your extremities, cramps, or stiffness. All that really blows. And your chance for injury is also decreased because of that gradual slowing down of your activity. So find yourself a rack or some space on the gym floor and get yourself a good stretch in. Your body's still warm. Your muscles are pliable, so they're in a great position to be restored to a normal resting length to your body's musculature. That's it, my friends. The 8 elements of a fitness program: warm up, cool down, and remember to keep each session positive and progressive. If this helped you in any sort of way, like the video, subscribe to the channel, give the socials a follow, and if you would love to get some one-on-one coaching, feel free to DM me. All the information, all the links can be found right below this. Remember, my friends, God loves you. Use your body to reach your potential, and I will see you next time.